Watch where you're going, cripple.
The cafeteria buzzed with clattering trays and teenage laughter, but for Amina, the sound was a wall she had to push through. Her crutches clicked against the linoleum with every step, each movement deliberate, balanced. She had trained herself not to look down, not to flinch when eyes followed her. Today, though, she couldn't escape the heat of their stares. Careful, a boy's voice rang out, sharp as a knife. Don't trip over yourself again, Amina. The laughter that followed was louder than the trays, louder than the intercom crackling overhead. Amina's grip on her crutch tightened, knuckles whitening. She wanted to answer, to throw words back, but she knew how it would end attention for disrupting the peace. Another mark on her record. They always believed the others, never her. Still, she pressed forward. Her food tray trembled. When she reached the table, another hand shot out, fast and casual, like swatting a fly. Her juice tipped, spilling orange across her lap, staining the fabric of her only good jeans. Oh no, the same boy sneered, eyes glinting. Guess the cripple can't even sit straight. The word cut deeper than the spill. Conversations around them paused, students' faces flickering between pity and silent approval. Nobody moved, nobody spoke. Amina felt her chest lock tight, her throat burned. She wanted the ground to open, and then a shadow fell across the table. A voice, calm but carrying like steel, broke the silence. That's enough. The cafeteria froze. Amina lifted her eyes, heartbeat racing, and everything shifted. The cafeteria's fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, a low, electric hum that made everything seem harsher. The laughter, the whispers, the pointed stares. Amina adjusted her crutches, careful with every step. The tray balanced on her forearm rattled as she moved forward, heart hammering. She told herself, just reach the table, just sit, it'll be fine. But it wasn't fine. Careful, Darren's voice sliced through the din. He was tall, athletic, the kind of boy teachers smiled at and trusted instantly. His grin widened as he leaned back in his chair. Don't fall on us, Amina. We're not wearing helmets. The table erupted in laughter. Amina froze mid, the sound pressed against her chest, sharp, relentless. She tightened her grip on the tray. Just ignore it, she whispered to herself. She made it to the end of their table when Darren's hand darted out, quick and casual, flicking the edge of her tray. Orange juice toppled, splattering across her jeans and soaking the seat she was about to take. The cafeteria went silent for half a second before exploding with laughter again. Oh no, Darren said, mock sympathy dripping from his tone. Guess the cripple can't even sit straight. The word cripple landed harder than the spill. Amina's throat tightened. She could feel dozens of eyes watching her, some with pity, others with cruel amusement, but none moved to help. Her legs trembled. She wanted to scream, but silence caged her. Then, that's enough. The voice was calm, steady, yet it cut through the chaos like steel. Heads turned. A boy stood there, tall, lean, his expression unreadable. Malik, the new kid, the one people whispered about, how he trained in martial arts, how he never spoke unless necessary. His gaze fixed on Darren, unwavering. Darren smirked, leaning back. Or what? Malik didn't move. Or you'll find out that strength isn't what you think it is. The cafeteria held its breath. Amina's heart thundered in her chest. For the first time all day, she wasn't invisible, but she knew this was only the beginning. The next morning, Amina sat in homeroom, trying to disappear into the chatter of rustling papers and squeaking chairs, but phones glowed across the room, and she could already sense it. Her humiliation from yesterday had taken a new form. Whispers darted like arrows. Laughter bubbled in little bursts. Finally, one phone, angled toward her desk. She didn't need to see the screen to know. Still, when the girl beside her muttered, "That's her, the one from the video," Amina's stomach dropped. It was everywhere. A clip of her juice spilling, slowed down, captioned with bold letters, "When wheels for legs don't come with balance." The comments were worse. Some laughed at her crutches, others at her silence. Her hands trembled. She wanted to snap the phone in two, but all she could do was stare at the desk until it blurred. Darren's voice floated from behind. "Careful, guys. She might trip on her desk next." His friends chuckled, low but sharp enough for everyone to hear. Amina bit her lips so hard, she tasted blood. The teacher at the front shuffled papers, oblivious or pretending to be. Then Malik spoke. "You find that funny?" The room stilled. His tone wasn't loud, but it carried a weight that pulled every head toward him. Darren leaned back in his chair, smirking. "Just stating facts." Malik's gaze didn't waver. Facts are usually true, lies are just noise. A ripple of surprise ran through the room. Darren's smirk faltered for a second, but he recovered quickly. Big words from the transfer kid. Don't get too bold, hero. You'll regret it. Malik didn't blink. Maybe, but you'll regret more what you've already done. The tension coiled like a live wire until the bell rang, snapping everyone back into motion. Desks scraped, chatter resumed, but the shift lingered. Darren's face was tight, his friends muttering under their breath. Amina exhaled slowly, shoulders aching from how rigid she had held herself. By lunchtime, the retaliation had grown sharper. Darren's crew had started whispering Cripple's bodyguard whenever Malik passed. One of them slapped a cartoon drawing onto his locker. Amina, with exaggerated crutches. Malik bowing to her like a servant. Amina found Malik standing there, eyes narrowed at the drawing. Don't, she blurted, panic sparking. Don't fight them. He looked at her, unreadable. I wasn't going to. Then what were you? He peeled the drawing off carefully, folded it in half, and slipped it into his pocket. Evidence, Amina blinked. Evidence. They want me to swing at them, lose control. But words leave trails. His voice was calm, but his eyes held a hard edge. Sometimes silence is the loudest strike. Before she could answer, Darren's group swaggered down the hall. One of them snatched the folded paper from Malik's pocket, holding it up. What's this? Souvenir. He taunted Bafta. Malik didn't move. Return it. Darren grinned. Or, what, gonna karate kick us all? The hallway buzzed with curiosity. Students slowed, waiting for the explosion. Teachers' doors stayed firmly shut. Malik's voice cut through the noise, calm but razor sharp. Funny how you act toughest when adults aren't watching. Murmurs rippled. Even some onlookers smirked at Darren's scowl. For a flicker, the balance shifted. But then Darren shoved the paper into his mouth, chewing theatrically before spitting it at Malik's shoes. Laughter roared again, covering the sting of the moment. Amina flinched. She braced for Malik to strike, but he didn't. He simply stepped aside, gaze steady. Every time you do this, Malik said softly, you tell the world exactly who you are. Darren's laughter faltered. For the first time, he looked unsettled, not beaten, but rattled. That afternoon, in history class, Amina felt the weight of Malik's words. Darren's group whispered insults, but more students seemed unsure now. Some avoided eye contact with the bullies. Others shot Amina quick glances of sympathy. It wasn't enough, but it was a crack. When the bell rang, Malik lingered. You think it matters? Amina asked, voice low. All of this, they'll still win. Teachers don't care. The principal, they protect people like him. Malik studied her, expression calm but firm. It matters because silence makes their lies louder. I'm not staying silent. She wanted to believe him, but she remembered the principal's cold warnings from past meetings, the way her complaints had been brushed aside as sensitivity. Her throat tightened. And what if they crush you for speaking up? Malik adjusted the strap of his bag, gaze unwavering. Then at least they'll have to show everyone what crushing looks like. For the first time in days, Amina felt a spark deep inside, not hope exactly, but recognition. He wasn't promising victory, he was promising refusal, and somehow, that was harder for the bullies to kill. That night, Amina scrolled through her phone, dreading what she'd find. The cruel edits of her cafeteria spill were still circulating, but buried among them was a shaky hallway clip someone had posted. Malik's words, funny how you act toughest when adults aren't watching, echoed across the comments. Some students laughed, others wrote, he's not wrong though. A few even called Darren out by name. For the first time, the tide wasn't completely against her. Amina leaned back, phone trembling in her hand. The war wasn't over, but Malik had shifted the battleground. And that terrified her more than anything because battles always came with backlash. The call came in the middle of math class. A voice on the intercom, clipped and official. Would Amina Thompson please report to the principal's office? Dozens of heads turned. Some students snickered. Amina's stomach dropped, the numbers on her worksheet dissolving into static. She rose slowly, crutches pressing into the tile. Malik's eyes caught hers across the room, calm but steady, as if saying, hold your ground. Still, each step down the hallway felt heavier than the last. The office smelled faintly of disinfectant and polished wood. Principal Harkins sat behind a wide desk, his tie perfectly knotted, his expression smooth and unreadable. Beside him, a guidance counselor typed notes without looking up. Sit, Harkins said, not unkind, but not warmly either. Amina lowered herself into the chair, adjusting her crutches against the wall. Her palms were slick, taut. He folded his hands. Do you know why you're here? She shook her head. I've received multiple complaints, he began, his tone measured. Students claim you've been disruptive, confrontational, creating unnecessary drama. The words landed like stones. Amina's chest tightened. That's not true. They've been. Harkins raised a hand, silencing her. Now Amina, I understand high school can be challenging, but it's important you don't make trouble for yourself. Dwelling on these incidents only inflames them. Her nails dug into her palms. So I'm supposed to let them humiliate me. The counselor finally glanced up, eyes sympathetic but cautious. Sometimes ignoring negative attention is the best solution. Amina's throat burned. She wanted to scream that silence wasn't survival, it was surrender. The door opened. Malik stepped inside, uninvited. His presence filled the room like a sudden wind. Sir, he said evenly, with respect, she's not the problem. Harkin's brows knit. Excuse me. Malik's gaze didn't waver. The bullies are Darren and his friends. They've been targeting her for weeks. Everyone knows it. The principal's jaw tightened. Mr. Williams, you were not called here. Someone has to say it, Malik replied. Amina's heart pounded. She admired his courage, but dread coiled tight in her gut. She knew how this would play out. Harkins leaned forward, voice colder now. I will not have students barging into my office, making accusations. This conversation is between myself and Miss Thompson. But you're not listening to her, Malik said, his voice calm, measured, but edged with steel. Thought the principal's face hardened. One more word and you'll find yourself suspended. The silence after that was suffocating. Malik's jaw flexed, but he said nothing more. He met Amina's eyes briefly, as if to say, I tried. Then he stepped back, hands loose at his sides. Harkins turned back to her. Now, as I was saying, you must learn to adapt, Amina. Life won't always be fair, and part of growing up is developing resilience. Her lips trembled. Resilience isn't the same as letting people break me. The principal's expression softened slightly. Patronizing. No one is trying to break you. These are just childish jokes, nothing more. But when you react, you escalate. That's what concerns me. The counselor added gently, we just want what's best for you. Focus on your studies. Stay out of conflict. Conflict. As if she had chosen it. As if humiliation was something she invited. Her vision blurred. She gripped the handles of her crutches, pushing herself to her feet. If no one's going to protect me, I'll protect myself. Harkin's tone sharpened. That sounds like a threat. She froze. What? No, I mean, be very careful, Miss Thompson, he warned, eyes cold now. One misstep, and disciplinary action will follow. Do you understand? The counselor avoided her gaze. Malik's fists clenched silently at his sides. Amina swallowed hard, the taste of copper and shame filling her mouth. Yes, sir. Outside the office, the hallway was quiet, lockers stretching endlessly in sterile rows. Amina leaned against her crutches, breathing shallow. But Malik stepped beside her. His voice was low. They don't want the truth. They want silence. Tears stung her eyes. He made me the problem. Like I asked for any of this. Malik's jaw tightened. That's how power works. Protects itself. She shook her head, voice cracking. It's hopeless. No. He looked at her, steady and unflinching. It's dangerous, but not hopeless. For a long moment, neither spoke. The muffled laughter of students filtered from distant classrooms. The world spun on, indifferent. Finally, Amina whispered, Why are you doing this? Standing up for me. You don't even know me. Malik's eyes softened, just slightly. Because I've been where you are, and because no one stood up for me. The words settled between them like a vow. That evening, as Amina sat at her kitchen table, textbooks open but unread, her phone buzzed. A notification, another cruel edit of her cafeteria humiliation. Now set to music, spreading fast. She wanted to smash the screen. Instead, she clicked it off, hands shaking. Her mother glanced from the stove. You okay, baby? Amina forced a nod. Just homework. But inside, the principal's words echoed like chains. One misstep, and disciplinary action will follow. She realized then that the bullies weren't her only enemy. The system itself had drawn a circle around her, and dared her to step outside it. And she knew, sooner or later, she would. The sun dipped low, painting the sky in strokes of orange and violet as the final bell released its tide of students. Most rushed home, laughter echoing across the parking lot. But Amina lingered at the edge of the school, pretending to adjust her crutches. She wasn't ready to face another evening of scrolling cruelty. Malik appeared beside her, quiet as shadow. He didn't ask if she wanted company. He simply matched her slow pace as she made her way toward the bus stop. Rough day? He asked. Amina gave a dry laugh. When isn't it? He didn't smile. Doesn't mean you have to carry it alone. They walked in silence for a moment. Cars honked in the distance, the smell of fried food drifting from a nearby deli. Amina finally sighed. You shouldn't keep hanging around me. They'll make you a target. They already have, Malik said simply. Might as well earn it. She glanced at him, puzzled. Why? Why bother? He stopped under a tree, the shadows wrapping around them. Because I know what it feels like. His tone was steady, but something in his eyes flickered. Amina sank onto the bench by the bus stop, waiting. Pollock leaned against the tree, arms crossed. Back in Detroit, there was a teacher. He thought kids like me were trouble before we even spoke. One fight broke out. I wasn't even an I-tand. He pointed to me, said I started it. My mom fought for me, but his word carried more weight. We had to move. Amina stared, her chest tightening. They punished you for existing. He gave a small nod. It's not just fists that bruise. Sometimes it's the story they write about you, and once it's written, it sticks. She looked down at her hands, fingers curled tight. That's what it feels like here. No matter what I do, the story's already written. Disabled, fragile, drama queen. Malik crouched in front of her, his voice firm but quiet. Then you need your own story, one they can't erase. Her throat tightened. And how am I supposed to do that? With inspirational quotes. They won't listen. No, Malik said, with control, not over them, over yourself. He pulled a slow breath, shoulders rising, then falling. In martial arts, the first lesson isn't how to fight, it's how to breathe. Because when you breathe right, fear doesn't run you. Amina raised a skeptical brow. Breathing, that's your big secret. A faint smile ghosted across his lips. Try it. She rolled her eyes but humored him. He guided her. Inhale, steady, hold, release slow. After a few rounds, her shoulders loosened. The knot in her chest eased, if only slightly. Better, he asked. She hesitated, then nodded. A little. That's step one, Malik said. When they taunt you, when the system twists things, you breathe. You don't give them the reaction they're hunting. She frowned. But isn't that just ignoring them, like the principal said? No, he corrected, eyes sharp. The principal wants silence. This is different. Breathing isn't surrender. It's claiming space inside yourself so they can't take it. The words sank into her, heavier than she expected. For the first time, she felt something other than humiliation, a fragile ember of strength. The bus screeched to a stop. Amina rose, crutches steady beneath her arms. She glanced at Malik. Why, tell me all this? He shrugged lightly. Because I see someone worth fighting alongside. Her chest warmed despite the chill of evening air. She climbed onto the bus, turning back once more. Malik stood on the sidewalk, hands in his pockets, watching the bus pull away. And though the bullies still waited, though the system still loomed, Amina carried something new with her as the city blurred past the windows. Not victory, not safety, but breath. And breath was the beginning of strength. The hallway was unusually quiet after last period, the kind of silence that prickled at the skin. Amina adjusted her bag, crutches clicking against the linoleum. Most students had already scattered toward buses or practice fields. The emptiness made her uneasy. She rounded the corner and froze. Darren and two of his friends leaned against the lockers, arms crossed, smirks, sharp, their shadows stretched long under the fading fluorescent light. Well, look who it is, Darren drawled. Our little celebrity. Amina's chest tightened. She forced herself to keep moving, her crutches clicking louder in the stillness. One of the boys stepped into her path. Going somewhere, Thompson. Her pulse spiked. Move. The boy leaned down, mocking. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I block your wheels? He mimed, hobbling on crutches, wobbling dramatically. Darren and the others laughed. Amina's throat burned. She gripped her handles tighter. You think this is funny? Darren smirked. Hilarious. What's not funny is how you've got Malik playing hero. Word is, he's teaching you karate breathing or something. He leaned closer, his breath sharp with gum. Newsflash, breathing won't save you. The words struck deep, twisting her fragile ember of confidence. Then Darren shoved her tray of books off her arm. They hit the floor with a loud smack, pages scattering across the tiles. The echo rang down the empty hall. Amina gasped, bending awkwardly, her crutches scraping as she tried to gather the papers. Her hands shook so badly she dropped one twice. Laughter rained over her like acid. Pathetic, one boy muttered. and then silence. Amina didn't look up at first. She knew, she felt it. Malik's voice came, low and unhurried. Pick them up. Darren stiffened, then turned. Malik stood at the far end of the hallway, his posture relaxed, but his gaze locked like a blade. Darren chuckled, though his voice was tighter now. Or what, Bruce Lee? Malik walked forward, unhurried, each step deliberate. Or you'll keep proving to everyone that you're smaller than the girl you're mocking. The air thickened. Darren's grin faltered. He glanced at his friends, then back at Malik. You think you scare me? No. Malik stopped a few feet away. His voice was calm, even gentle. I think you're scared already. That's why you need an audience. That's why you wait until the halls are empty. Amina froze, papers clutched to her chest. Malik wasn't raising his fists. He wasn't shouting, but the steadiness in his tone unsettled Darren more than any punch could. You don't know when to quit. Darren spat. Neither do you, Malik answered softly. Difference is, I don't need to hurt anyone to prove I exist. One of Darren's friends muttered, Man, let's just go. But Darren's pride flared. He shoved Amina's crutch suddenly, knocking her sideways. She yelped, nearly collapsing. Her papers scattered again. Before she hit the ground, Malik's hand shot out, steadying her. He crouched, gathering the pages with quiet precision. Ignoring Darren completely, Amina's breath came fast, tears threatening. Malik pressed the stack into her hands, his voice low so only she could hear. Breathe. Her chest hitched. She forced air in, out, shaky but controlled. Malik rose then, turning fully to Darren. His expression remained calm, but his stance was unmovable, like rooted stone. Last chance. Leave. The tension in Darren's face betrayed his inner battle. No audience, no phones, no laughter to drown the silence, just Malik's gaze, steady and merciless. Finally, Darren cursed under his breath and motioned his friends. Come on. Their footsteps echoed as they retreated. Masks of arrogance cracking with every step. The hall fell silent again. Amina clutched her papers, shaking. Why didn't you fight? Malik finished for her. He shook his head. That's what they want. One swing, and I'm expelled. You're labeled trouble. They win. She stared at him. But what if they come back? What if they will? Malik said, voice steady. That's who they are. But every time, they reveal themselves a little more. And sooner or later, everyone else will see it. Her throat ached. But how do you stand it? Just letting them do this? Malik looked at her then, not with pity, but with something fiercer. Because strength isn't about how many people you can knock down. It's about how many you can keep standing with you. The words sank deep. For the first time, Amina didn't feel like dead weight he was carrying. She felt like someone he chose to stand beside that night. Amina sat on her bed, staring at the scattered papers she had finally reorganized. Darren's laughter still echoed in her mind, but layered over it was Malik's steady voice. Breathe. She inhaled, slow and shaky, exhaled. The knot inside loosened, just enough. She picked up her notebook, hands trembling, and began to write not homework, not notes, but her own words. A record, a story that was hers, not theirs. For the first time, she wasn't just surviving, she was preparing. The gymnasium buzzed with restless energy. Folding chairs scraped against the polished floor. Teachers tried to herd students into rows, and the smell of old varnish hung heavy in the air. The Diversity and Respect Assembly had become an annual ritual, half listened to and quickly forgotten. Darren and his crew lounged near the back, snickering before it even began. Amina sat stiffly, hands tight around her notebook. She hadn't wanted to come, but Malik had convinced her. Sometimes silence is the loudest stage, he'd said. She didn't fully understand until now. Principal Hayes tapped the mic. Settle down, everyone. His voice echoed. Today, we talk about the culture we want in our school, one where everyone feels safe and respected. Groans and murmurs rippled. A boy whispered loudly, safe. From what? Homework. Laughter followed, but Malik didn't laugh. He sat upright in the second row, his eyes forward, his posture unyielding. He had told Amina to sit beside him, and though her heart raced, she obeyed. The principal spoke about kindness, about tolerance, about standing against bullying. His words floated above the crowd like paper banners, nice to look at, easy to tear. Darren smirked, elbowing his friends. And then, it happened. During a quiet moment, Darren muttered just loud enough for Amina to hear, "Wish you'd tripped on those crutches harder yesterday, would have been funnier." His friends snickered, covering their mouths. Heat rushed into Amina's cheeks. She gripped her notebook tighter, shame pressing down. But Malik moved, slowly, Deliberately, he stood. His chair scraped loud against the floor. The gym hushed. Dozens of eyes turned. Malik didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. "Principal Hayes," he said, his tone calm but cutting through the space. "You're asking us to talk about respect? So let's—" The principal blinked, caught off guard. "Mr. Cotter, this isn't really it is," Malik interrupted, his voice unwavering. "Because while you talk about kindness, students like Darren sit in the back laughing about how funny it would be if—" Amina broke her neck on her crutches. Gasps rippled. Heads snapped toward Darren. His smirk faltered, color rising in his face. "That's a lie," Darren barked, shooting up from his seat. But Malik's gaze never left him. Calm, steady, relentless. "Say you didn't just say it, right now." In front of everyone, the room went still. Even the teachers froze. Darren opened his mouth but no words came. The silence stretched, heavy and damning. His friends shifted uncomfortably, glancing away. The truth didn't need shouting. It had already been exposed. Principal Hayes cleared his throat, fumbling. "If that's true, it is true," Malik said evenly. "But you don't have to take my word for it. Ask the people sitting around us. Ask if they heard. Ask them what else Darren and his friends whisper when they think no one will challenge them." Dozens of eyes turned. Some kids nodded subtly. Others whispered to each other. The current shifted. For the first time, Darren's armor cracked. He tried to laugh it off, shrugging. "Come on, it's a joke. Everyone's too soft these days." But the defense rang hollow. The teachers didn't laugh. Neither did the crowd. Malik's voice cut through the space once more, quiet but sharp. "Jokes stop being funny when only the bully is laughing." The words landed like a stone in still water, ripples spreading across the gym. But Principal Hayes looked stern now, no longer fumbling. "Darren, you and your friends will stay behind after this assembly." A low murmur rose from the students. Some smirked at Darren's downfall. Others looked at Malik with new respect. Amina's chest swelled with something she hadn't felt in months. Relief. For once, the cruelty wasn't hidden in corners. It was dragged into the light. Darren slumped back into his chair, jaw tight, fury simmering. He didn't speak again. The assembly limped on. But its script had changed. Students sat straighter. Teachers paid sharper attention. And Amina, she felt her notebook trembling in her lap. Not from fear, but from adrenaline. She whispered, You turned it on him." Malik leaned closer, his voice soft. "Just for her. Truth exposes itself if you give it a stage. Bullies can't stand in light for long." Her throat tightened. She blinked fast, refusing to let tears spill. For the rest of the assembly, Darren's silence was louder than any lecture. Later, as students poured out of the gym, whispers swirled. "Did you hear what Darren said? Can you believe he mocked her like that?" Malik straight up called him out. The tide had turned. Not completely. Amina knew bullies rarely gave up so easily, but something had cracked. As they stepped outside into the crisp afternoon, Amina looked at Malik. "Weren't you scared?" He shrugged, though his eyes were serious. "Always, but fear doesn't get to make my choices." "I do." Amina held his gaze, her chest heavy with gratitude. "Thank you." He shook his head gently. "Don't thank me. Remember this feeling, because next time, it might be you who stands." She swallowed hard, and for the first time, she believed she could. That night, Darren sat in his room, fists clenched, humiliation burning. He wasn't finished. Not by a long shot. But neither was Amina. She opened her notebook again, scribbling down every word, every detail. Her story was becoming clearer, and Maliki sharpened his calm like a blade, because he knew the real fight hadn't even begun. The cafeteria was louder than usual, the next day clattering trays, bursts of laughter, the echo of sneakers squeaking across the tile. But beneath the normal noise, Amina felt a different current, whispers that slid through the air like blades. She kept her eyes down, tray trembling slightly in her hands as she walked toward the corner table where Malik sat. He gave her a small nod, steady, grounding. But before she reached him, Darren stepped into her path. The entire cafeteria seemed to tilt toward the scene. His friends fanned out behind him, forming a wall. His smirk was thin, dangerous. Well, Darren drawled, voice dripping with venom. "If it isn't the little princess who can't even walk straight unless she's got sticks under her arms." Snickers erupted from his crew. Amina froze, pulse hammering in her ears. "Move," she said, voice low but shaking. Darren tilted his head mockingly. "Move. You embarrassed me yesterday, in front of the whole school. You think you can just sit pretty while everyone forgets?" Malik rose from his seat across the room, muscles coiled. His voice rang out, "Darren, leave her alone." The cafeteria hushed. Dozens of students stopped mid-bite watching. But Darren didn't back down. His eyes gleamed with something darker than before. He reached forward suddenly, knocking the tray from Amina's hands. It crashed to the floor, food splattering across her shoes and crutches. Gasps rippled through the room. Amina's face burned hot. She struggled to steady herself, gripping her crutch tighter as laughter erupted from Darren's crew. "Oops," Darren said, feigning innocence. "Clumsy me." Malik was already moving. He shoved through the crowd, jaw clenched. "Pick it up now." Darren barked a laugh. "Or what? You'll show off your little karate tricks. This isn't a dojo, Carter. You can't bow and kick your way out of this." But his bravado wavered under Malik's glare. "Pick it up." Malik's voice was low, dangerous, carrying across the silent cafeteria. The tension was a live wire. Students leaned forward in their seats, breathless. Teachers hadn't yet arrived. This was raw, unsupervised. Darren bent slowly, mocking, fingers hovering over the mess. Then he straightened suddenly and shoved one of Amina's crutches with his foot. It clattered away, leaving her stumbling. That the cafeteria erupted in outrage. "That's messed up," someone shouted. Another voice, "Too far, Darren." But Darren just sneered. "Pathetic," he spat, "always needing someone to save you." Before Malik could reach him, a teacher's voice cut through the chaos. "Enough." Mr. Whitaker, the history teacher, pushed through the circle, his face pale with shock. He glared at Darren. "Office now." Darren's jaw tightened. "But she now." Reluctantly, Darren shoved his hands in his pockets and stalked off, muttering curses under his breath. His crew hesitated before following. The crowd slowly dispersed, murmurs buzzing. Malik retrieved Amina's crutch, kneeling as he handed it back. His voice was steady, but his eyes were stormy. "You okay?" Amina nodded quickly, though her throat felt tight. "He's not going to stop." "No," Malik admitted, "but neither will we." Later that evening, Darren sat in his room, music blasting to drown out his rage. His humiliation in the cafeteria stung worse than the assembly. Twice now, Malik had stripped him bare in front of everyone. He slammed his fist on the desk, eyes narrowing. "They think they can laugh at me." He pulled out his phone, thumbs flying. A group chat buzzed alive. "Darren, tomorrow night, behind the gym. Time for Carter to learn his place." Thumbs up emojis, fire emojis, eager replies filled the screen. The next day passed like a storm cloud pressing low over the school. Amina felt Itani's stares, whispers, the sense that something was brewing. Between classes, she caught Malik by the lockers. "They're planning something. I can feel it." Malik nodded grimly. "They'll want to make it loud, to scare everyone back into silence." Her heart thudded. "So what do? We let them try," Malik said softly, "and then we end it." That night, the air outside was sharp and cold. The parking lot lamps cast long shadows over the back of the gym. Darren and his crew waited, fists clenched, adrenaline spiking. "He'll come," Darren muttered. "He's too proud not to." Footsteps echoed. Malik stepped into the circle of light, calm, steady. Beside him, unexpected, was Amina, leaning on her crutches. Chin lifted, whispers broke through Darren's group. She came to. "What's she doing here?" Amina's voice cut the air. "I'm not hiding anymore." Darren laughed harshly. "Perfect. 2 birds, 1 stone." He lunged forward, fist swinging, but Malik was faster. He sidestepped, his movements precise, honed. Darren stumbled, rage flaring. "You think you can humiliate me?" Darren spat, charging again. Malik caught his wrist mid-swing, twisting just enough to send Darren sprawling to the ground. Gasps erupted from his friends. Malik didn't strike. He didn't need to. He stood tall, his voice calm but thunderous in the cold night. "Strength isn't about who you can hurt, it's about who you protect." Darren scrambled up, face red, fury boiling, but in the shadows, students' phones glowed, recording, capturing every second. For the first time, Darren realized he wasn't in control. The story wasn't his anymore, and as Amina met his glare, her voice was steady, unbroken. "Everyone will see you for what you are." The circle of phones stayed fixed, their light unblinking. Darren's sneer faltered. For the first time, he looked afraid. By morning, the video had already spread. It wasn't grainy or hidden, it was crisp, clear, and damning. Dozens of students had posted it across social media. Darren lunging, Malik disarming him with calm precision, Amina standing tall with her crutches under the floodlights. The caption varied. "Finally, Someone shut Darren down. Respect to Malik. She's braver than anyone, but the footage spoke for itself. By second period, the school buzzed like a beehive. Phones slipped out under desks. Whispers chased Amina down the halls. She felt eyes on her everywhere she went. Not with mockery this time, but with something stranger. Curiosity, admiration, unease. Malik walked beside her, his expression unreadable. "This changes things," he murmured. "Good or bad?" she asked, voice tight. "Both." In the principal's office, tension hung thick as fog. Principal Hayes leaned forward, his voice low but stern. "You should have come to us sooner. This could have been prevented." Malik's jaw tightened. "With respect, sir, I did, twice, and nothing happened," Amina added softly. "And if we had come again, would you really have listened, or just told us to work it out like before?" The principal flushed, glancing away. "That's not fair." Malik didn't back down. "Neither is what Darren's been doing." For a moment, silence. Then the principal sighed heavily. "We'll be calling Darren's parents. A disciplinary board will review this. In the meantime, you both should keep your heads down." Amina's chest clenched. "Keep our heads down. After everything, we're the ones who—" Malik touched her arm lightly, steadying her, but his eyes stayed locked on the principal, unwavering. "No, she's right. If silence worked, none of this would have happened." Principal Hayes rubbed his temples. "I have protocols, Malik, procedures." "Protocols didn't stop him from humiliating her in front of the entire cafeteria," Malik said sharply. "And they didn't stop him from swinging at me last night. The only thing stopping Darren is exposure." The word hung in the air like a blade. By lunch, the video had reached beyond the school. Parents called. A local journalist emailed the administration. A headline flashed on a student's phone. "Disabled teen targeted by bullies, classmate defends her." In viral clip, the cafeteria buzzed with nervous energy. Some students approached Amina, awkward but earnest. "You were really brave," a girl stammered. Another added, "He deserved it." A boy muttered, "Never thought anyone would stand up to him." Amina felt her cheeks heat, but Malik leaned close. "See, the tide's turning." But Darren wasn't gone. He sat in the corner, flanked by his crew, rage simmering in his glare. His usual cocky smirk was gone, replaced with something darker, sharper. "He's planning something," Amina whispered. Malik nodded slightly. "That's why we stay ready." That evening, the Carter living room glowed faintly with the TV's light. Malik's mother sat stiffly on the couch, phone buzzing non-stop. "Malik," she said, her voice heavy, "your name's everywhere. People are saying you're some kind of hero." Malik frowned. "I'm not, but they're also saying you instigated a fight, that you endangered yourself and the school. Some parents are calling for suspension, even expulsion." Amina shifted uneasily beside him. "But the video shows what happened." His mother sighed, eyes worried. "Truth doesn't always matter more than politics, sweetheart. Schools, districts, they protect themselves first." The words stung. Amina clenched her fists. "So what? He gets away with everything again." "No," Malik said firmly, "not this time." The next morning, the gym filled again, this time for a disciplinary hearing. Darren, his parents beside him, sat stiff with defiance. His father's voice cut sharp. "My son has been villainized." That video was taken out of context. He was defending himself. Gasps rippled through the teachers seated in the back. Students whispered furiously. Amina felt fire rise in her chest. She wanted to scream, "Defending himself against me," but her throat locked. Malik's voice broke the silence. "If that's true, then why does the video show him swinging first? Why does it show me standing still until he attacked?" The board members shifted, uncomfortable. One cleared her throat. "We have to consider all perspectives." "All perspectives." Amina's voice cracked, rising louder than she intended. "Do you know what it feels like to be mocked every day? To have your crutches kicked away while people laugh? To be told you're a burden?" Her voice broke, but she pushed on. "That video isn't out of context. It's the first time the truth was caught on camera. The only difference is now you can't pretend you didn't hear it." The gym was silent. Even Darren's father faltered, his mouth half open. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Principal Hayes leaned forward. His voice was low, but there was steel in it now. "Enough. This school will not protect cruelty. Darren will face full disciplinary measures, suspension pending review for expulsion." Murmurs surged through the crowd. Darren shot to his feet. "This is a witch hunt. You're all against me." His father pulled at his arm, but Darren jerked away, face flushed, his eyes locked on Malik and Amina. "This isn't over." The threat lingered in the air, heavy and venomous. That afternoon, Students spilled into the courtyard, buzzing with the news. Some were jubilant, others cautious. He's finally getting what he deserves, one girl said. Bet his dad tries to sue, another muttered. He won't let it go, someone warned. Amina sat under the old oak tree notebook in her lap. Her hand shook as she wrote, each word a lifeline. Malik dropped beside her, quiet for a long moment. Then, you were incredible in there. She shook her head. I was terrified. So was I, Malik admitted. But courage isn't the absence of fear. It's what you do with it. She swallowed hard, eyes burning. Do you think this will actually end? Or will it just get worse? Malik looked out across the courtyard, where clusters of students murmured, eyes sharp and watchful. It's the breaking point. Things either shatter, or they change. That night Amina's phone buzzed with dozens of messages, some kind, others cruel. Screenshots of the videos still swirled online, hashtags multiplying. One message stopped her cold. An anonymous number. You think this is over? You don't know what's coming. Her breath hitched. She stared at the screen. Heart pounding, Malik's voice echoed in her mind. It's the breaking point. And she realized he was right. The next step would decide everything. Rain slicked the pavement outside the school, the kind that clung to skin and seeped into clothes. Amina gripped her crutches tighter as she stepped off the bus. The anonymous threat from the night before still pulsed in her chest. Students whispered as she passed, some offering nods of support, others staring as if waiting for something to explode. Malik walked beside her, calm on the outside but watchful, every step taut with quiet readiness. Eyes up, he murmured. He'll make his move when he thinks everyone's watching. She swallowed hard. Why now? Because it's all slipping from him, Malik said, and desperate people break loudest. The day dragged like a storm building pressure. By last period, the tension was unbearable. The final bell rang then. That's when it happened. The fire alarm shrieked. Red strobes flashed against the walls. Students shuffled toward the exits, laughing, groaning, unaware. But Amina knew. The timing was too perfect. She felt it in her gut. This wasn't a drill. Outside, in the chaos of umbrellas and wet sidewalks, Darren appeared. His crew flanked him, their faces pale but determined. In his hands, spray paint cans with a hiss and a flourish. Darren scrawled across the gym wall. Crippled clown. Gasps spread. Phones whipped out instantly. Students froze, watching. Amina's stomach lurched. The letters glared in red against the bricks, dripping like open wounds. Darren turned, eyes locking on her. His voice carried over the stunned crowd. There's your hero, a weak little parasite who needs the whole school to protect her. The crowd murmured, restless. Some shook their heads in disgust, others looked away, shame prickling. Malik stepped forward, rain sliding down his face. His voice was steady. Enough, Darren sneered. What are you gonna do? Film me? Write another sob story? He flung the spray can to the ground, its rattle sharp in the wet air. This is who she is. Weak, broken, a joke. Silence fell, heavy and electric. Then Amina's voice broke it. Her throat shook, but her words rang out. Weak. You're the one hiding behind spray paint, behind threats, behind fear. The crowd leaned in. Her voice rose, strong now. I've been mocked, shoved, kicked, and I'm still standing, still here. What are you, Darren, without your cruelty, without people laughing behind you? The question cut deeper than any blade. Darren's smirk faltered, his mask cracking. Malik's voice followed, sharp as thunder. You've already lost. Everyone sees it. And they did. Students' phones lit up again, recording, capturing Darren's collapse in real time. Stop filming. Darren shouted, panic in his voice. He lunged at a student, trying to snatch a phone, but slipped on the wet pavement. He sprawled in the mud, scrambling, his face red with humiliation. Laughter rippled, not cruel, not mocking, but cathartic. A tide-breaking Darren roared, scrambling up, fists clenched. He charged at Malik, but Malik sidestepped effortlessly, deflecting the swing with calm precision. Darren stumbled forward, collapsing into the mud again. His friends didn't move to help him this time. They backed away, shame etched on their faces. Teachers arrived then, their shouts cutting through the chaos. They grabbed Darren's arms as he thrashed, spitting curses, but his words sounded hollow now, echoes of a fallen king. The spray-painted slur dripped behind him, a monument to his own downfall. Later, in the principal's office, Darren sat between his parents, soaked and sullen. His father's bluster was gone. His mother stared at the floor, hollow-eyed. Principal Hayes's voice was firm. This isn't just suspension. This is expulsion. The district board will be notified, and law enforcement will review the threats and vandalism. Darren didn't argue. He slumped in silence. The fight drained from him. Outside, the hallways buzzed. Students replayed the scene, the video spreading faster than the rain outside. For the first time, Amina walked through the crowd and no one snickered, no one whispered cruelty. Instead, they moved aside, some even clapping her shoulder gently as she passed. But Buffdry felt heavier than she imagined. That evening, Amina sat in her room, notebook open on her lap. The word crippled still seared her vision, but so did the image of Darren sprawled in the mud. Powerless. She wrote slowly. He wanted me broken, but I'm still here, and he's the one who collapsed. Her hand trembled, relief mixed with exhaustion, triumph tangled with grief, because no matter how the story ended, the scars would remain. A knock on her window startled her. Malik stood outside, rain dripping from his hood. She opened it quickly. "You okay?" he asked softly. She nodded, though tears brimmed. "I should be happy, but I just feel tired." Malik climbed in, sitting beside her. "That's what victory feels like. It costs something, always." Her throat tightened. Was it worth it? He met her eyes, steady, unflinching. "You stood, you spoke, you turned his power against him. That's worth everything." Amina swallowed hard, tears spilling now. "I couldn't have done it without you." Malik shook his head gently. "You already had it in you. I just reminded you." The rain tapped softly on the glass. In the quiet, Amina closed her notebook, resting her hand on its cover. She wasn't just writing anymore. She was living the proof, the collapse of cruelty, the rise of her own voice. And though the storm had cost her, she knew now she would never be silent again. The storm had passed, but its memory lingered. The morning after Darren's expulsion, sunlight broke through the clouds, glinting off wet pavement. The school felt different, quieter, as if the air itself had exhaled. Amina moved through the halls with her crutches clicking rhythmically. Students didn't avert their eyes anymore. Some smiled, others whispered encouragements, a few simply nodded, the kind of small gesture that said, "We saw you, we believe you." She wasn't invisible anymore, but neither was she a spectacle. She was human, and for the first time, that felt enough. At lunch, Malik slid into the seat across from her. His usual hood was down, his shoulders more relaxed than she had ever seen. "Strange," he said, cracking a faint smile. "I don't hear your name in the halls anymore. Not as a joke, anyway." Amina poked at her sandwich. "Feels unreal, like it happened to someone else." "It happened to you," he said gently. "And you didn't just survive it, you owned it." Her eyes flicked up to meet his. "Then why do I still feel heavy?" Malik leaned back, thinking, because survival isn't the same as healing. Surviving is breathing. Healing is learning to breathe without pain. The words landed deep. She blinked hard, swallowing against the sting in her throat. That afternoon, Principal Hayes called her in. The office felt warmer than before, sunlight spilling across the bookshelves. "I wanted to say," Hayes began, "what you did speaking out like that took remarkable courage. You didn't just protect yourself, you've changed the climate here." Amina shifted uncomfortably. Praise felt strange, almost undeserved. "I didn't plan it, I just spoke. Sometimes that's all it takes," Hayes said, one voice breaking the silence. She hesitated, then asked, "What will happen to Darren?" Hayes's expression hardened. "He'll face consequences, expulsion, possibly charges for the threats, but beyond punishment, he'll face himself, and that may be the hardest reckoning of all." Amina nodded slowly. She didn't feel joy at his downfall, only a quiet finality, like a door closing. That evening, Malik found her again, this time at the park, where the swings swayed gently in the autumn breeze. He leaned against the frame, watching her sway lightly. "I've been thinking," he said. "Dangerous habit," she teased, her voice lighter than she expected. He smirked. "Maybe, but I've realized something. For years, I've lived in shadows, always reacting, never believing change was possible. But you proved me wrong." She tilted her head. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying maybe it's time I stop hiding. Time I use what I've learned about standing, about fighting back for more than just myself." Her brows lifted. "Like helping others?" He nodded. "There are more kids like us, ones who get crushed quiet every day. Maybe we can't fix the world, but we can make cracks in the walls." Her chest tightened with something warm. "Hope, maybe, together." "Together," he said firmly. The word felt like a promise. Days turned to weeks. Darren's name faded, his absence leaving a strange silence. His old crew drifted, some ashamed, some relieved. None dared revive the cruelty that had defined him. Amina's notebook filled with new pages, not of pain alone, but of resilience. She wrote about voices rising, about storms weathered, about scars that told stories instead of shame. One afternoon, she read aloud in English class. Her hands trembled, but her voice carried. Strength isn't the absence of wounds, it's the decision to keep walking, even when the ground remembers your fall. The room was still, no laughter, just quiet, listening hearts. When she finished, even Mr. Rowe, who rarely showed emotion, cleared his throat roughly. "Thank you, Amina," he said. And he meant it. Malik found his place too. He started a small group, students who met after school, sharing stories, building trust. Some came bruised, others silent, but they left lighter, knowing they weren't alone. Amina joined sometimes, reading her words aloud. Each time, the room grew braver, as if courage was contagious. It wasn't a revolution. The world outside was still harsh, still unfair, but in that little corner, walls cracked, light seeped in, and voices once silent found room to grow. One evening, as autumn tipped into winter, Amina sat by her window, notebook open. The city lights twinkled beyond the glass, reflections shimmering. She wrote her last entry for the year. "He called me broken, but broken things can still shine. Scars don't mean defeat, they mean survival, and survival is the beginning of strength." She closed the notebook and let the quiet settle behind her. Her mother peeked in, eyes soft. "You're writing again?" "Yes," Amina said, smiling faintly. "This time, not just for me." Her mother stepped forward, kissing her forehead. "I'm proud of you." Amina held that warmth close. It felt like healing. Outside, the first snow began to fall, soft and silent, covering the scars of the earth with fragile beauty. And in that quiet snowfall, Amina knew the storm had ended, but her story was only beginning, not as a victim, not as a joke, but as a voice that survived, a voice that endured, a voice that would not be silenced again.